This is Rummy's Corner. Saturday night from the O2 Arena in London, in a heavyweight showdown that was available only on DAZN. Veteran heavyweight contender Derek Chisora squared off against former long-reigning WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder. Both of these guys are in their 40s. It was the 50th professional fight for each man, and both of them are past their best fighting days. But all the same, it was a very interesting matchup on paper, and it wound up being an absolutely wild encounter. Right out of the gate, Chisora was looking to close the distance and apply pressure. And before long, things were already getting a little sloppy. This would be a common trend throughout the fight, where the two would frequently become entangled while trying to brawl in tight. Halfway through the round, they were both already looking a bit tired, as the close quarter encounters involved a lot of grappling and wrestling for position, and it involved a lot of wild swinging from both, as each tried gaining a favorable position. Referee Mark Bates had his work cut out for him, and he was already losing control late in the opening round, where a crazy out-of-control sequence inexplicably prompted one of Chisora's cornermen to angrily charge into the ring, which could have perhaps resulted in a disqualification. Instead, Bates ordered him out and gave each boxer a stern talking to, and when action finally resumed, the round soon came to an end. In the second, Chisora continued doing his best to apply pressure, and a wild brawl erupted where Wilder appeared to have Chisora hurt in the midst of the heated exchange. Wilder was throwing more and beginning to look a little more like vintage Wilder, but Chisora remained determined, and he quickly went back to work, where the scrappy infighting from both men involved a lot of twisting and maneuvering in tight. Chisora went down after he slipped throwing a punch. The action was ugly yet captivating, with both boxers giving it their best. The rhythm and action remained messy in the third, where Chisora was always doing his best to work with the free hand in a clinch. Whenever the two were at range, Wilder was attempting to keep Chisora at jab's length, but his jab wasn't effective enough to prevent Chisora from charging his way in with measured attacks. Chisora was having some success when he charged at Wilder, and Wilder was likewise having some success catching Chisora with anything he could on his way in. Late in the round, Chisora was standing in the corner. The referee called them to fight, but then he tried to hold Wilder back. Wilder attacked anyway, and Bates then stopped him. It was a bizarre moment, and it is still not entirely clear to me why Bates stopped the action immediately after he told him to resume fighting. Chisora charged in early in the fourth, and when the action reverted back to tight quarters, Chisora was the one doing the better work and always trying to punch with the free hand. Wilder was trying to shorten up his shots to catch Chisora whenever there was just a little space between them, and when there was more space, he was flicking and pawing around with the jab. When the two were entangled in tight, Chisora leveraged him down to the canvas with a bit of a shove. Wilder found the mark with a few nice rights later in the round, but Chisora was the one who landed a booming right that caught Wilder by surprise. Chisora caught him with another big looping right, and then there was some really good back and forth action to close out the round. In the fifth, Wilder continued trying to hold Chisora off with a pawing jab, where he was attempting to shoot the big right whenever Chisora closed the gap. But Wilder's jab lacked the authority to earn Chisora's respect and back him off, so he continued charging in and attacking, and was effective in spots. Sometimes he was missing wildly, however. Chisora was down again, this time from a push when the two became entangled. It wound up being a strong round from Chisora, who again found himself on the canvas when Wilder shoved him off. Chisora finished the round strong, and Wilder was beginning to look a little lost in there. There was some good give and take action to begin round 6, with each man landing some nice shots. Wilder soon began mixing in his uppercuts more effectively than he had been, and he was beginning to establish a better rhythm. Chisora was still trying to utilize the same type of tactics, but he had a little less spring in his step. Wilder was out fighting him more often now whenever the two were in tight quarters, and Wilder punctuated the strong effort in the round with a beautiful 1-2, and to his credit, Chisora absorbed the bomb and all the might behind it. The action slowed down considerably in round 7, which is understandable given the fact both men are in their 40s, and to this point, the pace had been rather taxing. But both guys were still digging down deep and firing away with an enormous will to win. There was some scattered action throughout the round, but there was generally a lot of clinching with less infighting, and there were a lot more lulls in activity. Late in the round, both guys crashed to the canvas, where an off-balance Chisora appeared to grab Wilder along for the ride. For Chisora, this was the 4th time his old legs had to drag himself up off the canvas, despite having never been officially dropped. Bates had a brief chat with both boxers prior to the start of round 8, trying to maintain some semblance of control over this wild encounter. Chisora drilled Wilder with a terrific right hand, and Wilder immediately fired back with a menacing right hand of his own. Chisora was hurt, and Wilder began loading up with his right hand and catapulting Chisora with one right after another, and he began staggering his way all the way over to the opposite corner. Wilder soon knocked him down, where Chisora tumbled between the ropes. He bravely beat the count. For some reason, Wilder didn't immediately go for the finish, and when he finally did, Chisora slipped down through the ropes again. But this time, Bates did not rule a knockdown. Instead, he deducted a point from Wilder, and Wilder didn't care for that at all. As the round neared its end, Wilder nailed Chisora with another big right that sent him into retreat, and Wilder pursued. With Chisora backed into the ropes, he launched a couple of sneaky shots during Wilder's attack, and the two traded ferociously to conclude the round. Despite being knocked down and repeatedly hurt in the previous round, Chisora continued doing everything in his power to close the gap and get into range where he could unload. It remained a scrappy affair in sight, with both guys firing away. To his credit, Wilder remained patient and never got overexcited. The bizarre ebb and flow to this contest, with neither guy looking technically sound in a textbook sense, it led to a lot of crowd-pleasing action. It wasn't about technique or technical ability, it was about who wanted it more and who had more left in the tank. And as things approached the championship rounds, Wilder appeared to be the fresher of the two. At one point, it looked as if Chisora was trying to bait Wilder into a trap, but Wilder remained defensively aware and maintained his composure. Even though Chisora did not look to have much left in the tank, he continued trying his best. Wilder was generally controlling the action later on, but Chisora was still having moments. Wilder dropped Chisora late in round 11, where Chisora once again found himself caught between the ropes. He managed his way up and back inside the ring. A moment later, Chisora landed a looping right that dropped Wilder. It appears that one was officially ruled a slip, because Bates never gave Wilder a count, but he also never specifically signaled that it was a slip when Wilder went down, and he did instruct Chisora to a neutral corner. This was another situation Bates could have handled better. In any case, the round concluded soon after Wilder rose. The 12th and final round ended much like the fight began. It was messy, it was scrappy, and it was a bit sloppy and a bit ugly. But the heart and determination from both boxers was there in plain sight for all to see, as they continued giving it their all and battling it out with everything they had left. It wound up being a highly entertaining affair with a lot of drama and a lot of fireworks from two older boxers who have long been rated among the best heavyweights in the world for more than a decade now. At the end of 12 rounds, one judge had it 115 to 112 for Chisora, overruled by the other two who had it for Wilder, 115 to 111 and 115 to 113. So it was a split decision victory for Deontay Wilder, and that's 2 wins in a row for Wilder now. It was an ugly fight to be sure, but all the same, I found the performances from each man to be rather inspiring. They're both old, past their best, and they both dished out and received an awful lot of punishment from what I saw. Chisora ate a lot of heavy punches, and so did Wilder. This is a testament to the heart and determination of each man on display. Referee Mark Bates, in my opinion, it was a less than stellar effort from the ref in this one. I thought he lost control early and made some questionable rulings along the way, but at the end of the day, I believe the right man won. What's next? Chisora claimed he would be retiring, but already seems to be backtracking on that. And even if he does indeed intend to retire, I wouldn't be surprised if he could be convinced to fight again for the right price. As for Wilder, despite winning, I still think it's tricky to see where he goes from here. The one and only fight for Wilder that makes sense for me, and one I'd still love to see, even if it's nearly 10 years later than it should have been, is a fight against Anthony Joshua. That's the one fight for Wilder I'd love to see right now, but it seems far more likely that AJ will be looking in Fury's direction later this year, provided he beats Makhmudov on April 11th. AJ aside, I'm not exactly sure where Wilder goes from here, but with some good matchmaking and another big win or two, he could very well find himself back in title contention. Congratulations to Deontay Wilder, and best of luck to Wilder and Chisora, whatever they decide to do next. The Wilder-Chisora fight was part of DAZN's blockbuster heavyweight season, with more heavyweight action on the horizon, including Wardley vs. Dubois, Okoli vs. Yoka, Usyk vs. Rico, and although not heavyweight, Benavidez vs. Zordo. All coming up on DAZN over the next couple of months. Click the link in the description to get DAZN now. What did you think of Wilder's victory over Chisora? Let me know. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful night. This is Rummy's Corner.